Hey, welcome to Choo. My name is Jake, and about a year or so ago, my dad and I, in one of our famous procrastination creations, knocked up this neat little solar dehydrator. It was just for a bit of fun and a carbon neutral way to preserve certain foods. We used predominantly recycled materials, and the whole project took about half a day or so, depending on how many beers we sucked back. I briefly mentioned it in my how to dehydrate wild mushrooms video, but I didn't really give anyone a proper rundown, so that's what this video is going to be about today. I'm going to show you how we made it, how it works, what the benefits, the pros and cons are of it, with hopefully enough information so you can make your own. Now, I can't take full credit for this, I kind of stole the exact idea off the legendary Costa from Gardening Australia. I do recommend checking out that video for a more in-depth one, but what I am going to do is demonstrate how it works by making classic sun-dried tomatoes. Oh, fucking get oil everywhere. Oh, yum. It was very effective. They probably need to sit in the fridge for another week, but still delicious, just a bit crunchy. So for the record, sun-dried tomatoes are really, really easy to make. And it might just save you a buck or two. I mean, have you priced sun-dried tomatoes lately? It's absolutely outrageous. Well, I guess they're still pretty affordable, but my great auntie Nibs used to say a penny saved is a penny earned. She also thought the world was flat and that lizard people are brainwashing Parliament, so, you know, well, take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, RIP Auntie Nibs. So the benefits of a solar dehydrator are most notably that it's totally green, super affordable to make, won't cost you anything in power or gas, it's very effective, it won't tie up your oven or your food dehydrator, and it will give you and your dad something to do when you're a few beers deep and trying to avoid actual renovations. So if you go online and type sun-dried tomato recipe, for example, into Google, you get a bunch of phonies, man, telling you to use your oven. Well, the oven ain't the sun now, is it? Also, dehydrating food takes a while, so you don't want to clog up your kitchen or your oven and waste power or gas when you can simply use the sun for free. Of course, the obvious downside is that you need the sun to be out pretty much for this to work. They are pretty cumbersome, a little bit heavy, they take up a bit of space, but for me living on almost an acre in sunny South Australia, that's not much of a problem. But I can understand that not everybody has that privilege, but you can scale this model up or down depending on your situation. So let's get to the build. The first thing we did was get a glass table from the dump and simply built a small wooden box to fit under it. In hindsight, I may have opted for 2 pieces of glass or something such as louvers, provided I could get a tight seal, as this giant sheet of glass is very heavy, and even for me, who's a young, fit, big, medium-sized man, still found it quite difficult to get on and off sometimes by myself. It also sort of scratches, the rubber seal tears off, so it's better for a 2-person job. It's also heavy to move around. In the future, I'll probably strap wheels on there, but something to consider. This is tabletop glass, so it's very, very thick and very, very heavy. You could use thinner glass because it doesn't need to be weight bearing. Like I said, I should put wheels on this because I do move it around depending on the season, depending on when I'm using it. If the trees are growing or whatever, sometimes I just want to get it out of the way, especially if I'm mowing the lawn. It's on my lawn, so I do need to move it every week or so, just not too far, but enough to get the mower under there. It's a bit heavy, it's not the best build I've ever done, but it gets the job done anyway. So after you've built a box to stick on the table, you could build this entirely from scratch. I just find it's easier to get a table, especially because if you buy a glass table, it comes with the glass. Next, you need to create a heat sink. So I found some old corrugated iron, cut it to size and painted it black. Using darker paints is key to trapping the hot energy from the sun instead of reflecting it. Chuck that in the box, and next you'll want to find something for the foods to rest on. I use some mold fly screen, but anything that is mesh-like should work, provided the gap's not so large that the food can fall through. The fly screen works for herbs and some foods, though I do find the tomatoes, depending on the variety and how juicy they are, tend to stick to the screen, so I might swap that out in the future for something better suited for tomatoes and something easier to clean. The mesh is great for herbs, so I might keep that for herbs and then find something a bit better in the future, maybe some kind of stainless steel thing for the tomatoes. It still works, but you gotta kind of chisel them off. So the main key to a solar dehydrator is that you need airflow. You need air to get sucked in through the bottom, which will then heat up and then blast out the top. So gravity and a very loose understanding of thermodynamics, in other words, cut the legs off the end so that it's at an angle, is key, and create some holes on either end so the hot air can escape from the top, drawing in more air from the bottom, releasing humidity and creating airflow. This is where a bit of experimenting comes into play because you're gonna want to adjust the hole size accordingly. In the future, I might make some kind of sliding door at the bottom to adjust the airflow accordingly depending on the temperature of the day. More air on a hotter day, less air on a cooler day, kind of. The more holes you have, the cooler it's going to be because you're going to have much more draft, so something to consider there. If it gets too hot, so you don't have enough of a draft going through there, you will trap humidity, potentially spoiling the food, or it'll get way too hot, or it will definitely get way too hot, and you're going to end up with a solar oven, not a solar dehydrator. These are great. These still work. You can slightly cook your tomatoes, for example, and they'll still taste great, but that's not what we're really aiming for here. So in this haphazard project, I put a thermometer in the side, initially a barbecue thermometer, but it didn't work as the barbecue thermometer wasn't sensitive enough at lower temps. So now I just use a probe thermometer in the hole that I drilled in the side, about halfway up or closer to the top, and upon construction with the thermometer in there, I drilled holes until I got a pretty steady temperature. Again, like I said, I might make adjustments so I can have more control over how much air is coming in and out, but you know, this is a pretty sloppy project, to be honest. I will get around to it one day, I swear. Or I won't. By the way, a probe thermometer is one of the most crucial and essential tools you can have in your self-sufficient journey or in your kitchen or in your garden, because there's so many different uses for them. From testing soil temperature to know when to sow your seed, to making the best bloody brisket you've ever eaten, trust me, go watch that video, to making sure the temperature in your solar dehydrator is Goldilocks-ing the hell out of it. In other words, just right. They are cheap and fantastic, so do yourself a favor and pick up a couple, one for food and one for outside projects, because it's absolutely worth it. Trust me, a probe thermometer is just, it makes life so much better. And that's pretty much it. Find yourself a sunny spot in the yard, in the front yard or backyard, and be sure to invite all the dads in the neighborhood around to chat about what type of screws you use and the state of the bloody country. So in this video, we're gonna make sun-dried tomatoes, which are really delicious. I love them on pizza, I love them in sandwiches or pesto or anything. Make them from home, save a buck, keep it fresh. That's it. So simply slice a bunch of tomatoes up. The thickness will determine how long it takes to dehydrate, so that's up to you. I like them thick with 2 C's, but hey, that's just me. Spread them out on the screen, and at this stage you can sprinkle salt or herbs on there. You definitely want to put the herbs on prior to the oil stage, otherwise they'll just get yucky. I'll talk about that a bit later. So you could put salt, herbs, pepper, whatever you want. In this case I just kept it natural because that's the way I like it, but I do experiment from time to time. A good temperature to aim for is between 55 and 70 degrees Celsius. Any hotter, and like I said previously, they will cook more than dehydrate, and that's not always a bad thing. It depends on how you like it, but we're going for dehydration here. Mine were on the higher end of that spectrum, as we had for the first time this spring some decent sunny days, and in this contraption it will only take 2 or 3 days of sun to crisp them up. I may have left them in there for an extra day, I can't really remember. Again, it all depends on what you're aiming for. Nice and crispy will preserve them, and they will rehydrate or get soft again in the oil after a week or so. So it doesn't matter if they're crispy, it's pretty essential really. Right, so now we're just gonna get these, put them in a sanitized jar. Oh, they're so crispy. It's really important that they are snap dry, which they pretty much are. They will suck in a little bit of moisture as we go through. As time goes on, I should say. Right, extra virgin to appease the gods. Now, this isn't the cheapest thing to do because oil is fucking expensive, but I will reuse this oil and these will not last long in our house. So this oil will strain this out, use it for cooking up some steaks or some shit. Probably not steaks because it's olive oil, but whatever. You get the point. We're going to reuse it. That's the point. We're reusing it. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh man. This is local olive oil too, so that's fantastic. We didn't make it. I tried to make olive oil once and that failed miserably, but we'll get around to it. Whew. Done and dusted. Make sure they're fully submerged if you can. But speaking of that, we're going to bust a couple of myths because that's what I like to do. Science first. I'm a hippie, sort of, but I'm still very pro-science. Oil does not preserve food. That is an absolute myth. It is total bullshit. There's been cases of botulism coming out of Canada and America where they had garlic submerged in oil and people were getting horribly, horribly ill from it. All oil does is stop things from oxidizing, which is not going to stop fermentation. It's not going to stop certain bacterias growing. All it's going to do is help preserve very, very minusculely by stopping the food from oxidizing. Acidification. Making sure your pH is below 4.6, even below 4, is the only true way to preserve anything other than pasteurization, heating it up to the point where everything gets nuked. So there's two myths, right? The first one is that oil preserves food. It does not, doesn't, I don't care. Unless that oil is at very, very high acidity, which it's not in its state as it is when you purchase it. You have to add vinegars, salts, all kinds of different things, citric acid. I can go on and on. It's not going to preserve it. Botulism could be caused. You could also get food spoilage. So just be aware that this is not a preserving method unless you were to put that in hot water or in a pasteurizing machine and pasteurize it, i.e. heating it to a certain level to kill any yuckies. It's also not going to stop yeasts and molds from happening necessarily unless you keep it in the fridge. So make sure you keep it in the fridge because that'll stop fermentation. Fermentation occurs when there's no oxygen. So just because this is lacking oxygen, it can still easily ferment. And the other myth is that people think certain foods have preserving qualities like garlic. As I mentioned before, there's cases of botulism in garlic in oil, so that is also a myth. However, tomatoes have a naturally high acidic content, and when you dehydrate them, you're sucking out all the moisture essentially, but you're keeping that acidity level there, so it's even more concentrated, so it's more acidic. Tomatoes, when fully dried like this and submerged in oil and even kept in the fridge, have a natural preserving quality, but tomatoes are one of the few foods that you can do that with. If I was to add a whole bunch of herbs in this and garlic and to give it different flavors, I've just stuffed it really. So just be aware of that. So, like we said, oil doesn't preserve it. Keep it in the fridge, you're good to go. Pasteurize it, you can pretty much put that anywhere you want. Pasteurization is key, and that's not adding any sort of synthetic chemicals to it or anything like that, all which I'm also a fan of, but pasteurization simply means heating it up to the point where bacteria, yeasts will die. Keep it in the fridge, keep it airtight, keep it acidic, and you're good to go. These will not last long. These will probably be et within a few weeks. If I was to pasteurize this, you could keep that indefinitely, but I'm not going to do that, especially with all that beautiful oil in there. You know, that's expensive shit, man. And that's how you make a solar dehydrator and classic sun-dried tomatoes. There's lots of different models of dehydrator out there. We might work on some of these in the future, but this is a very simple and cost-effective way to get the job done. So if you enjoyed this video, if you think you learned something or you just had a good time, click like, subscribe, all that stuff. It's springtime here in South Australia, which means we're going to be bringing out a lot more content far more frequently than we have in the past. So please subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And if you want to support the channel in any way, jump on our website and grab a bottle of hot sauce. It's all made right here at the Choo HQ. A portion of all sales goes to the CFS Foundation, and it's the best way that you can support this channel. And you're not just helping me create more content, you're also getting a delicious hot sauce, which is competitively priced, super delicious, and super local. We've got a new range of alcoholic hot sauces, and it's blowing people's minds. At least that's what my mum said. So check it out. It helps me out, and it helps out your tum-tum too. I've been Jacob. You've been watching Choo. I'll see you around. Hey.
What's that?
Sun-dried. You know what it is. Acting. Give it a bell. I'm trying, man. These are unsalted as well.
Ooh.
Good?
It's like a tomato chip.
Yeah. Well, probably... I've probably been there for a day too long. Soak these in oil, though. Motherfucker. You're fucking set.